Welcome back, listeners, to another episode of The Snake Pit. I'm your host, Son of Bat, and tonight I'll be talking about a very, very, very strange movie. A movie I didn't think I'd be covering. A movie that has changed hands by directors, production companies, a movie outright disowned by its main actors, stars, people just straight up saying it was horrible, disgusting, a controversial movie for its time, controversial today even, something that I don't believe has ever been done before to this magnitude. Something that just screams exploitation film, and that's the 1979 erotic historical drama film Caligula. Original story by Gore Vidal, screenplay contributions by Tinto Brass, Malcolm McDowell, and Bob Guccione, and directed by Tinto Brass and later Bob Guccione. This movie is something else. This movie is it's crazy. I don't even know where to begin with this one. For those of you tuning in, this is a porno film. Depending on which version you see, this is the 3-disc Imperial cut, so it has the XXX version, and that's the version I watched, the version I'm covering here. And the Ben-Hur of porno films, that's what we got here. And it's a very strange movie about a very strange real person in Roman history. Now, is this exact to what happened? We don't know, because this happened in ancient Rome. Records are, sketchy to say the least. I've heard stories that the stuff written about Caligula was written 200 years after he died by people who had a predisposition to already hating him. So we don't exactly know how true any of this is or how crazy he actually was. But going off what most historical accounts say, this guy was the Mad Emperor. He was revered by his people in the beginning. He was actually really well respected by his people, but at some point, from what I'm reading here, just to check up, he became seriously ill, and whether it's debated that he had a nervous breakdown, epilepsy, or just no one knew what it was, he came down with something, became bedridden, suffered from delirium, and while Rome waited, he just did not do better. And when he came out of this sickness, he was different. He was very weird. He was very ecstatic, eccentric, just doing all kinds of crazy shit. And some of the shit I am going to get into with this movie. But yeah, he basically fucked Rome really hard, and the people turned on him and killed him because he was just a sick bastard. From what I recall, an example of this would be one of the lighter examples from what he did was he believed that Poseidon had challenged him or something. So he basically got his soldiers, his legionnaires, to cast I think 1,000 or 10,000 bolts into the ocean to kill Poseidon, to prove that he was the best emperor of all. There's a part in the movie where he and his legionnaires or some of his followers, they cross a river, and he claims that he conquered Britain, even though I'm pretty sure, didn't even leave Italy. So that's pretty fucked up. The guy was a madman. He did a lot of crazy shit. He murdered a lot of people. He raped a lot of people. Just a very, very sick person, and an interesting person to do a movie on. There are a few other Caligula movies, but again, this one is, I don't think any of them come near to this one. Of course, this one stars Malcolm McDowell, Teresa Ann Savoy, Helen Mirren, Peter O'Toole, and John Gielgud. Some really, really good actors, and they chew the scenery up in this movie. If you eliminate the porno parts to this movie, which, I think you've watched the rated R cut of this movie, it plays out like a historical drama. A brutal one, but a really good one. It kind of just depicts the rise of Caligula and where it all went wrong, the shit he did, and his murder eventually by his own people. Again, the scenery in this movie is just downright amazing. It looks kind of, like I said, it looks like a Ben-Hur type movie. It's just, the set pieces are grand. A lot of care was put into this movie. I believe it was made for, I believe this movie was made for about 17 million. So, and it really shows. There's two different cuts of this. Again, there's the R-rated and the XXX cut. The XXX cut, also known as the Ultimate Cut, runs for about 173 minutes. And you know what? I might as well just rip that Band-Aid off. There is a lot of crazy shit in this movie. Now, as a straight guy, there was a lot of shit in this movie that is just not my forte, per se. There was a lot of, and not even just gay stuff. There was really weird shit. I believe there was deformed people and midgets and just some really weird shit. No offense to deformed people and midgets, but just a really weird fetish shit that happened in it. Again, a lot of some pretty gay stuff that happened. The one gay scene, I mean, to me that was okay. It was the one with the two chicks. I mean, there was some pretty nice tits and some pretty nice muff in the movie, so you got that going for you. But I just found myself kind of like, looking at my phone waiting for the scenes to end, because like, you kind of see it at first, you get what's going on, like, oh, okay, it's an orgy, like, and then it just keeps going, because it's like a porno at part. And it wasn't actually filmed this way to begin with. Originally Tinto Brass filmed this movie as like as a raunchy, like, historical drama, like a dark movie, and Penthouse funded it because they needed more money, I believe. And when Penthouse funded it, they got body doubles to film XXX scenes from the actors. So a lot of the actors had body doubles. They didn't even know about doing these XXX scenes. And yeah, the resulting thing is you get like some really good dialogue, some really good story, and then a really long porno scene, and then back to the dialogue, and it just breaks up like that. Definitely not for everybody. Not even like even some of the extreme viewers out there. I don't even know some of y'all out there how you feel on porn, but this one, it's definitely not erotic. It just adds more like grotesque shock to the movie, I find, which helps in its favor as an exploitation movie. The violence is really good in it too. I mean, a lot of these movies, like sword and sandal type movies, the violence is pretty good. Like, now it's not like no Gladiator like shit here, you know what I mean? This is a smut movie made in the 70s, but for what it is in the 70s, it's really good. There's this great scene where Caligula has like this moving wall with like blades on it, and he has like all the people that are against him like buried up to their necks, and this wall, like, people are throwing like rotten fruit at them and stuff, and this wall's just pushing closer and closer and closer, and every time it gets closer, it like chops these people's heads like clean off and shit, and it's like, it's brutal as fuck. It kind of covers some things that we have seen in the historical facts about Caligula. Like, the guy was really obsessed with his horse. To what degree, I'll leave that up to you guys, but it doesn't go that far in the movie. But it's like, some say that I think he believed it to be like a mystical being, like it spoke to him, and he demanded it be put on council like a politician, and he would even have it share his bed with him. And like, one of the funny stories I think I heard about him was he demanded his legionnaires to like go around, town, and anyone that would like be noisy or would possibly rouse the horse from his sleep, he just demanded they get killed. So like, again, the guy is a fucking psychopath, but like, pretty good character for a movie, very interesting. And Malcolm McDowell, like, he was great in this movie. I think he kills it. Like, every movie he's in, especially the ones from the 70s, are all really good. Like, this and A Clockwork Orange are both amazing. I don't know exactly what his stance is on the movie nowadays, if he likes it or if he still doesn't, but I think his parts were really good. He sold the incompetent, like, young cocky emperor gone crazy. Like, he really nailed it, and I think that it couldn't have been played by anyone else. I mean, there's 2 other Caligula movies by Severin. I have to rewatch them to see over like how they are, but from what I remember, like, they still weren't even anywhere near Malcolm McDowell's performance as him. Like, he just killed it as Caligula. And yeah, this movie though, it's got like a bunch of weird shit. Like I said, it's got like a bunch of sex acts, normal and weird. It's got a lot of incest subplots because this is an ancient Rome movie. And yeah, it's got a lot of rape too, which is another thing that happens in this movie quite a bit. But even still, like, it's a good movie if you can get around the dark stuff. If you can, like, sit down and watch something like this, it's a decent movie and it's well worth the time. Like, I don't think it's the ratings it has are deserving of it. I think that, like, it's definitely above a 5. Like, IMDb, I think its average is a 5. I don't think it's that low, simply like because it's just too well made. Like, if you can put the porno stuff aside and just watch it as like an epic, and it is a good movie. Like, it's just not that bad. A common misconception, though, is that Tinto Brass, the original director, was fired. Tinto Brass made a few of these other kind of sexploitation films. One of the most famous ones, one of the ones that I know that I have for a fact, is Salon Kitty, which is more of a Nazi exploitation one. But again, this guy knew his stuff when it came to like historical sexploitation flicks. So he's a good director, but like, a lot of people think that he left the production because Bob Guccione put the hardcore porn scenes in it, when that's not actually the case. What happened was, I think what it boiled down to was he wasn't allowed in the editing room. Like, Tinto Brass was just constantly not allowed in the editing room. Same with Gore Vidal, the guy who actually wrote the story. So Bob Guccione was editing the movie at his own, like making it his movie. And the two guys who wrote the fucking thing didn't really have a say on how it got put together or how it was like put out. He actually wanted the film to be more repulsive than erotic. That was another big thing too. Apparently the thing that got Tinto Brass fired was he wanted to hire criminals to play the Legionnaires in the movie, like real life criminals, and he wanted, quote, ugly women to play all the women in the movie to give it like a really like disorienting, gross look to it. And then Bob Guccione shut that shit down. He was like, no, that's not fucking happening. And I mean, I think there are elements to that movie. Again, like, I'd have to rewatch it, and I kind of don't want to, because like all the really weird shit is in like the porno scenes. But basically, like I said, I think there was some midget and deformed shit that was just like, it was just really weird. Like, yeah. There was this one scene though, I will give it this, out of all the porno scenes, there was this really, really fucking funny one where basically Rome is put so far in debt because of like the shit Caligula's been doing since he went nuts. So his solution to paying off the debt is he whores out all the politicians' wives to other politicians from other countries for like a few pieces of silver. Like, not much, mind you, like a little bit. And the idea is he'll keep getting people paying until the debt's paid over. So you have all these politicians getting basically cucked, and they're all just standing there in a fucking rage, like planning on how to oust Caligula because he's gone too far this time. And it's like the funniest thing ever, because Malcolm McDowell is just like running around like with this giddy smile on his face, basically saying like the whores of Rome are going to pay off the city's debt. And I remember seeing that the first time and just being like so shocked, but like still finding it just so hilarious. Like, everything that was going on, it was fucking insane. Like, this movie is fucking insane. There's no other way to say it. Like, there's a real childbirth scene that happens, which is pretty fucking wild. Like, you know, like I said, most of the original actors, they pretty much disowned it due to the body doubles and shit. Like, it took nearly 4 years to make and 2 to be distributed worldwide, and like with good reasoning. I mean, like, this was in 79, so you'd think like the dawn of the porno era with like Deep Throat and like The Devil and Miss Jones, that like this kind of thing would be more widely accepted. And like I think Bob Guccione even, like, he avoided getting it to the MPAA because he didn't want the movie to have like an X rating or any kind of rating at all, because he felt it would demean the movie. So he went out of his way to give it like an admitted to only 18 and over, like unrated basically. And yeah, this movie was just so controversial when it came out. Like, it was just shit on by critics for like its content. And I mean, I guess like how many like uptight critics and like, you know, news types go in and watch a porno movie on the regular? How many of these guys are actually loosened up? You know, I bet none of them smoked a doob, none of them crushed a beer or a tea. You know what I'm saying? So like, you get all these stiff suits sitting in there watching this thing that they've never seen before. Like, hell yeah, they're all gonna fucking lose their shit. I think it did better in Europe, which, I mean, because Europeans are more open to sexuality in film. So it didn't really do as bad there. Like, it's not a widely regarded film. A lot of people think the acting's not that good. And, you know, maybe I'm just like, I've just been so exposed to trash over the years that I think this is like, you know, a 5-star movie compared to like the actual quote unquote real AAA historical, like, you know, sword and sandal movies. But like, I don't know, man. I always found those movies kind of boring. And especially because those time periods were so fucked up. Like, people were dying in all kinds of crazy ways. All kinds of crazy religious wars were going on. Like, just all this really, it was just a horrible time to be alive. And a lot of these like studio AAA movies, just, they don't really depict the grit of it and like the sick vileness of it. Like, this movie captured the darkness of ancient Rome, like, that I have never seen in another movie. Like, I mean, and I can't even remember if it's ancient Rome solely, but Gladiator was good. But I mean, like, that movie was just, it was too, you know what, no, I'm not even gonna shit on Gladiator. That was a good movie, but like, a lot of those swords and sandal movies, they're too clean, they're just too boring and shit. This one had like something to it. Again, it was just something that I don't think had ever been done and ever will be done to this level. It was just the combination of an epic movie and a porno movie. Like, when do you see that? You don't. It was just, man, crazy movie. there was a lot of other stuff too. Like, apparently one of the guys quit drinking. I think it was Peter O'Toole. He was supposed to quit drinking, but apparently the whole set, they said he was smoking a little something in his trailer. And I mean, like, I don't think like any normal person could get on a set of this kind of, like, if you're a normal actor and you show up and all this shit's happening out of nowhere, like, I don't think walking on with a sober mind, how could you? Like, you'd have to like just kind of like numb your senses and just kind of like wade through it. But yeah. And I can't remember, I read something somewhere where it basically said Leonardo DiCaprio even cites this as an influence to his approach as Jordan Belfort in The Wolf of Wall Street. So hey, if you liked his manic crazy energy in The Wolf of Wall Street, then maybe you'll get a kick out of Malcolm McDowell's crazy manic energy in Caligula. Just be warned that, like I said, there's a lot of unsavory content. Even in the R-rated movie, it's a brutal movie. It pulls no punches. If you feel like you're up to watching the porno version, then my hat's off to you, because you're going somewhere where no man boldly ever goes. I don't own a lot of movies like this. I think the only one I own is Thriller, the Cruel Picture, and maybe I think Tumbling Doll of Flesh counts, but not really. But yeah, no, like I was expecting it to like be trash the whole way through, but I was actually fairly entertained watching it. Like, it was really well made. The set designs were great. The acting, when it was acting, was really good. The gore was fucking astounding. And like, we're 16 minutes in here, but a basic rundown of the plot is like, it shows you Caligula when he was like kind of like a younger man, and how he wanted to be emperor. And then the guy he looks up to dies of venereal disease. He's some fucking sicko who has all these crazy orgies. And Caligula is pretty much groomed by this guy. So I guess a lot of the tendencies from this guy transfers over to him. And then when Caligula becomes emperor of Rome, everyone loves him. He's doing all this great stuff. He becomes very sick though. And even before the sickness, he's really obsessed with his sister. Like he's he's basically fucking his sister. And he wants to marry her, but even she knows that the public won't accept that. So he marries this other woman to bear an heir. And if I remember correctly, he keeps trying to have a boy, but she keeps having girls. And it like he basically doesn't have an heir, so he wigs out, and this starts going in tandem with the madness, and like Rome starts falling apart. He starts doing crazier and crazier shit, like just abusing people. One of his I guess his I don't even know what you'd call it. I mean, I'm not great with history. I guess the guy, like his fucking scribe or whatever, like Proculus, he ends up raping this guy's wife on her wedding day in front of him. So like he starts doing all this crazy ruthless shit. Like I said, like he cucks all the Rome politicians to repay the debt. He starts killing a bunch of people. And by the end, the people of Rome have just had it. He basically returns back to the temple by the end of the movie, or his I guess his temple, whatever you call it. He returns back to the hall, and all of his dignitaries, they murder him, his wife, and his kid, and they just throw their bodies off the stairs. And that is like one of the most brutal scenes. You just see like this whole family toss down these marble stairs, the crunch and the splat, and then they wash it away and get ready to elect the new emperor. Yeah, fucking again, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I have not seen another movie like this. I will hopefully cover the other two Caligula movies by Severin. I think it's Caligula, The Untold Story, and Caligula and Messalina. Both of those films, from what I remember, they were decent, but again, they were nowhere near this one. And I mean, how could you? With the cast they had, like, you were going to get some good acting out of this movie. I definitely keep it with my horror section. A lot of people would consider this a porno. A lot of people would consider it a historical drama. I think because how it melded and came out the way it did, it's more of an exploitation movie than anything. It's very brutal, it's very dark, and like, I think if a Puritan watched this movie, they would be scared shitless. Like they would fucking be terrified. So it fits well with the horror movies. It fits alongside with movies like 120 Days of Sodom, Salon Kitty, Ilsa She-Wolf of the SS, like it fits with like the fucked up historical exploitation movies, whether it be Nazi exploitation movies, World War II, ancient Rome, doesn't matter. This one is right at home with those, so I keep it there. And yeah, maybe I persuaded some of you guys to check this movie out. If not, that's totally understandable. I did make it clear that there is an R-rated cut of this movie, so if you really want to avoid the XXX cut, just look for the R-rated cut. Maybe even watch some scenes on the internet and get an idea. Oh yeah, another thing that I'm totally forgetting too is the music. The music was really good in the movie too. Like back when I used to make like techno tracks and stuff, I sampled a bunch of the score for this movie. It's just so epic. Like, oh man, yeah, this movie had a lot of great things going for it. If they were maybe a little lighter on the porno scenes, or if they didn't have it, or if they released two cuts of the movie in two different ways, this could have done a lot better. Because yeah, in tandem, the acting, the scenery, the music, it was just amazing. Like, on a scale from 1 to 10, like, as a movie, if I had to, like, in my mind, erase the porno scenes and think about all the movie scenes, I'd probably give this about, like, an 8.5 or a 9. Like, it's up there. It's a good movie. I got through the whole thing, and I didn't hate it. So, like, and it just made me want to learn more about, like, the guy Caligula himself. It made me want to learn more about, like, what went on with the movie, and it made me even want to look at more of Tino Brass's movies. That's how I ended up getting Salon Kitty. So yeah, that would be about an 8.5 or a 9 as a movie. And if I were to rate this as a porno flick, being a straight guy and knowing what I like, this movie wasn't erotic in really any sense, except for maybe like the lesbian scene, and it was like pretty sweet seeing some pretty top tier like Tata and Bushkis, but yeah, no, as a porno, this movie, I'd probably give it about like a 4. Like, it wasn't like, amateur hour on the internet. Like, the shit definitely had production values and stuff, but it wasn't for me. Wasn't my type of thing. So for that, yeah, I give that about a 4. But the movie as a whole, 8.5 or a 9. If you guys check it out, write down in the comments, if you're pissed off that you saw the wrong cut, let me know in the comments. I'm not sorry for you. I made it explicitly clear through the whole video. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and yeah, catch you in the next one. Peace.